Hello everybody, this is Dr. Flight. I hope you're doing great. We're going to watch a little video here, learn a little bit about the marketing planning process. And so as you begin to develop a strategy and think about how you're going to operate your business operations, it's not uncommon to have a business plan. And so each function in the business plan will often have their own plan that they'll run off of. And in marketing, we have a marketing plan. And so the structure of a marketing plan is going to be similar to the structure of a broader business plan. However, when you start getting into the middle portion of the plan itself, it'll be devoted towards executing marketing related strategy and functional activities. So we'll see that a little bit. In this video, we're going to tackle the first couple steps of the plan, but you can take a look at this. You can pause it if you need to. But this is the outline of a marketing plan. And again, it mimics what you might see in a business plan, where the first part is a very broad overview of the organization, including the mission and an evaluation or a synopsis of the environment in which the business operates. So step 1 and 2 deal with those kind of overview issues. Then we get into what might be the strategy and implementation stage or series of steps where we focus on activities that are very, very marketing related and unlike other areas of the firm and in terms of operation. And then the last stage is going to be monitoring and evaluating. So this is kind of the introduction to the plan and an outline of this. A business plan or a marketing plan is something that will be put together usually once a year or so. And it charts the future. It explains what our goals are, what we want to accomplish, how we're going to accomplish it, how we're going to meet those goals, like what activities we'll actually do to perform in order to meet those goals. And then a process for evaluating our success. So metrics and measures that be used to see whether we're on track to meet our goals or whether we're exceeding them or whatnot. Okay, so that's a planning process. It's pretty basic. And again, in this video, we're going to hit the first couple steps. In another video, we'll do the middle portion and the implementation stages. So, so moving forward, if we step into this, the first stage then is to think about the mission and the overall purpose or goal or kind of reason why the organization exists. And so ultimately, this is a process or a step that the whole organization takes. And we're not going to typically have a separate mission for the for marketing per se, but more importantly, what we do in marketing needs to support the mission of the organization. Sometimes you'll see, and we'll look at some examples at various times, sometimes you'll see a brand mission or a brand purpose, which might be, again, kind of a specific statement that's geared towards a brand, but ultimately it will still support the organizational mission for whatever that is on top of it. So we need to make sure we connect the marketing plan's kind of emphasis and place in the big picture, make sure it supports what the organization's purpose is or reason for existence. So we'll talk a lot about mission plans or mission statements only because those are things that are done, again, probably in management quite a bit. And if you're developing a marketing plan, your organization's mission has already been developed. It's not something you're developing new, it's already there. So we want to support that as well as the strategic vision or the outlook of the organization as well. Its purpose for existing, if you will. If we look at a variety of different mission statements from different companies out there, you can see that the mission statement tends to be optimistic, yet vague, and that's an important element of mission statements, that they can be applied to a lot of different scenarios. They don't like have to be just for one occasion or whatnot. Amazon to be Earth's most customer-centric company, where customers can find and discover anything they might want to buy online, and so forth. PayPal to build the web's most convenient, secure, cost-effective payment solution. Facebook to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. Okay, so again, I could pause this video if you want to take a closer look at some of these. You can certainly, for any business that you, or organization for that matter, that you are familiar with, you can identify and find their mission statement, which should be supported by any other plan that's developed, including the marketing plan. So that's step number one. Step number two is an evaluation of the environment or the business environment that you find yourself. This is not an evaluation of the natural environment, so but the business environment, and it's basically divided into two categories: the inside environment and the outside environment. And when I say inside, I mean the inside of the firm versus outside the firm. So the first, SWOT stands for strengths and weaknesses. And we look at those strengths and weaknesses. Those are elements that are inside the firm and directly in control of and by the management. And so you look at things that you do well, that's a strength. Things you do poorly, that's a weakness, and you can generally control those, right? You can develop skills to become better, and you can exploit strengths that you have to gain market-based advantages. On the other hand, you may have outside threats or outside opportunities, and these are things that are evolving and happening outside the firm, so outside the control of top management, and these are elements that you want to be concerned about because you have to manage through them. You can't directly impact them, but you have to be able to adjust and address those issues as you see fit. So some examples, we're going to have a couple different examples of SWOT analyses. This is really a research thing where you engage in a process where you do research to identify what these each are. This is not a quick process or something you do speedily, something you take your time at. And these types of analyses can be very large, in fact. So sticking at the top here, when we look at internal, we have positive and negative. You can think of these as that way as well. But your strengths are things you do well. And ultimately, we're going to see that strengths are also things that we turn into reasons for people to buy, unique selling propositions, or your value proposition. It usually includes elements of your strengths. That's one of our goals. We want to build a strength so that we can then leverage that and pass that on to the customer. So HR, different patents that you have, where you're located, different technologies that you have available to you, know-how. Brand equity is something we can talk a lot about in marketing. That's a word for how strong the brand is, brand equity. Weaknesses, things you don't do well. So any of these could be weaknesses, right? Maybe you don't do HR very well. Or maybe you have weaknesses in some of your processes, some of your management design or architecture or hierarchy. Weak profit margins, low market share. Those are marketing related types of things. So again, these are all things that you don't do well, and you recognize that there are ways that you can improve. When we start to look outside the firm, we look at different things, and there's usually a series of evaluations, which we'll see in another video, an external environment analysis. And the types of things that we look at outside the firm that could be either formed into opportunities or threats come from competition, that's outside the firm, government and regulatory behavior and action. So if new laws are being passed that restrict our business behavior, that could be a threat. Natural and environmental shifts and changes could certainly be there. Technological changes, technological advances or whatnot, those could be viewed externally as opportunities or perhaps threats, but probably opportunities. Changes in cultural shifts, attitudes, social attitudes that shift and change. Also, changes in our markets that might include like immigration, emigration, different, buyer behaviors and things like that. The economy is another big area. There's about 5 or 6 big areas that we look at outside the firm. And the economy, whether it's growing or shrinking, whether we're in a recession or in a boom time, those are all examples of times when you might have external opportunities or threats. Okay, so the SWOT analysis is something for you to remember. Here's a SWOT analysis for Pepsi, the soft drink, the beverage, right? And so you can kind of just, again, pause this and just take a look at some examples of SWOT. So strengths, we have a very diverse brand portfolio, successful marketing campaigns with the music industry, celebrity endorsers. Negative things, you've got low brand awareness, perhaps. So that's some different things. We got lower market share concerns, unfriendly or less than friendly environmental behaviors with production. Okay, again, these are negative, right? These are things to work on, to improve upon. And so it doesn't make it a bad company, it just makes them like everybody else. They have some good things they do and they have some bad things they do. They need to work on those. All right, outside opportunities, outside threats. Opportunities are different opportunities maybe in how people are buying beverages. Acquisition of new brands, global market share, or the growth of maybe the beverage category, product category, and then certain threats. And you can take a look at those: water scarcity, different concerns about competition in the market, lots of new competitors coming in, things like that. They could all be threats, and that might be something that you might be concerned about and be defensive towards. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more though about strengths and what is important for us from a marketing perspective. So as we develop strategy and we build together this marketing plan, we have to know what we do well, and that's something called a core competency. It could be the S in the SWOT analysis though, the strength. Okay, and so as we think about what we do well, we also want to evaluate what we do well relative to our competition. So in other words, if I do something well, if I have a strength and it's better than or it outperforms our competition, then that's something we call a distinctive competency. Okay, so it's not only something we do well, but it's it distinguishes ourselves from our competition. And that's a basis of how you can evaluate your company. So here's the thing. If I go talk to a customer and I say I have a great location, in fact, my location is better than my competitors, that might be a reason for you to come to shop with me, because we're more convenient. We're easier to access. You can get to us more easily than you can get to our competition based on our location. Therefore, come shop with us. So see how like we have an advantage because we do something or we have a skill or we have a strength that our competitors don't have. And now I can turn that into a reason for the customer to buy. So that's a distinctive competency, and that's why it's important. When we do this, then it leads us towards something that we call a sustainable competitive advantage. SCA. And I'll say that a lot, and we'll talk about sustainable competitive advantages quite a bit. But the idea here is that I have a strength that I can have and hold, and I can leverage that above and beyond my competitors to gain some type of outcome, like goal or objective, like more market share or more sales or more profit margin, right? Maybe more loyal customers, maybe more satisfied customers, right? Those are 5 big things that we push for in marketing quite a bit. Those are metrics that we use to measure some of our successes. If I can consistently do that as a result of a strength that I have, then it means I have a sustainable competitive advantage. And so that's important to just kind of recognize. So remember, when we say advantage, we want to keep in mind that this is an advantage financially. It's an advantage in some type of a marketing metric that allows us to grow as a company. Right? It's a competitive advantage type of a thing or a competitive position type of a thing. And again, like market share, sales, profit margin, those types of elements are the things we really focus on. If you wanted to think about some examples, maybe you could probably just run through, hey, I know a brand, they do this really well. And that sets them apart. In Apple, the software company, the tech company, they have unbelievably great software engineers, right? But there are other companies that have great software engineers too. They're not the only ones. They also have, though, a proprietary and a patent-protected operating system. The iOS operating system is only available with Apple products, right? Or Apple licensed products. So that's something that they have that Dell doesn't have, or any MS-DOS based program software company does not have, right? So that's an advantage they have, right? They can use that as an advantage. They also have very, very, very distinctive design in their products. The way an Apple product looks is distinctly different from a lot of other products. That sets them apart as well. People like to see that. Walmart, another example of a big brand, big capitalization, a lot of money in Walmart, right? Big, huge company. Well, one thing that they do very, very well, and they've done it for many years, is they have a very efficient distribution system. So their distribution system really sets them apart from many other retailers. And as a result, over time, they've been able to grow a lot of locations. So they have this very high volume kind of market share advantage that they have over their competitors, and so that's certainly a very good thing. Okay, so in this little video, we've talked about actually some really important things. First and foremost, we started looking at the makeup of a marketing plan. We looked at the image of a marketing plan and the different stages and steps that are involved with it. We really looked at we focused on 2 things in this video, the first 2 steps. One is the mission statement and understanding the role, what the mission statement's all about. And knowing that by the time we write a marketing plan, the organization already has a mission or a purpose. And our job in building the marketing plan is to support that organizational mission or reason for existence. Okay, then we jumped into the second stage, I guess, of the plan, where we evaluate what's going on. Now, the SWOT analysis, SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat, that's one way we can do an evaluation. It's a common way. It's not the only way, but it's one way we can do step 2 in this marketing plan process. Okay, but make sure as you're looking through this, remember that these progress checks are opportunities for you to understand and study from. So know what SWOT stands for, and then follow up with understanding what both the internal and external components are for SWOT, and then follow through with the rest of these steps here. Be able to again, give examples of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then be able to define core competencies and distinctive competencies. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for checking in. Take care.